The incredible success of a poor boy. Imagine a boy so poor that his shoes were torn, his hands scarred, and his nights filled with hunger. One day, a single letter promised to change his life forever. But just as hope touched his hands, a shadow emerged from the darkness, whispering that success comes with a price. What was written in that letter? And who was waiting in the alley to take it away? Stay with this story until the very end, because the truth will shock you. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. The boy's hands trembled as he held the envelope. His skin was rough, cracked from years of work beneath the sun. The paper felt strange against his fingertips, soft and clean, almost unreal. He stared at it for a long time. Around him, the alley was damp and narrow, walls peeling with paint, the air thick with the sour smell of smoke and stale bread. Children laughed in the distance, but here it was silent. Only the dripping of a broken pipe filled the air. His chest tightened. The letter carried words that could change his life. Yet his throat was dry, as if opening it might choke him. He glanced at the torn shoes on his feet, at the calluses on his palms, at the shadows of the place that had been his home. And for a moment, he felt fear. Fear that success was not meant for him. He pressed the envelope against his chest. The sound of his heart was louder than the city itself. Finally, with shaking fingers, he tore the edge open. The paper slid free, unfolding in his hands. He began to read. The first word struck him like lightning, and everything around him seemed to stop. The first word struck him like lightning. Accepted. His breath caught in his throat. The letters blurred as his eyes filled with tears. He pressed the page closer, reading again to be sure. Accepted. The word glowed in his mind, louder than the dripping pipe, louder than the heartbeat in his chest. His knees grew weak, and he staggered back against the wall. The cold bricks pressed into his spine, grounding him in the moment. For years, he had begged for scraps of work, carried heavy loads for coins, gone to sleep with an empty stomach. And now, this letter promised something different. A scholarship, a chance to study, a doorway into a world he had only ever seen from far away. The air felt different, thinner, sharper. Every sound in the alley grew louder, the scurrying of rats, the flutter of pigeons, the rumble of carts in the street beyond. It was as if the city itself was holding its breath with him. Then, a voice broke through. Cold. Low. You do not belong there. The boy froze. He turned slowly, and in the shadow at the corner of the alley, someone was waiting. Someone was waiting. The figure stepped forward, one foot dragging slightly across the wet ground. A tall man, wrapped in a coat that seemed too heavy for the season. The dim light from a broken lamp flickered across his face. His eyes were sharp, hollow, reflecting the boy's fear like a mirror. The man's lips curved into a slow smile. That letter is not yours, he said. His voice scraped the air, rough and deliberate. The boy clutched the paper tighter, his knuckles white. A chill ran down his spine. Every instinct told him to run, yet his legs refused to move. The man's gaze dropped to the envelope. His smile widened. Do you even understand what you hold? The boy swallowed hard, his throat dry, the taste of iron on his tongue. The alley seemed smaller now. The dripping pipe louder. The shadows thicker. For a moment, he felt as though the world itself leaned closer, waiting for his answer. And still, the letter trembled in his hands. The boy tightened his grip on the letter. His chest heaved, each breath louder than the dripping water. It is mine, he whispered. The man tilted his head, studying him like prey. Then he laughed. The sound was hollow, bouncing off the damp walls of the alley. You think paper will change who you are? His boots scraped the stones as he stepped closer. The boy's back pressed harder into the wall. The bricks dug into his skin, cold and rough. He wanted to run, but the man's presence held him still. The stranger reached out a hand, pale and long-fingered. Give it to me, he said softly. The boy shook his head. The man's eyes darkened. And in that instant, the world felt heavier. The air thickened. Even the rain outside the alley slowed, falling in sluggish drops. The boy's heart pounded, his pulse roaring in his ears. For the first time, Success felt fragile, as if it could be stolen at any moment. The man stepped closer, closer, until his shadow swallowed the boy whole. The man's hand shot forward, fingers like claws, reaching for the paper. The boy jerked to the side, clutching the letter to his chest. The scrape of rough brick tore into his arm, but he did not let go. The man hissed, his voice low and sharp. "You do not deserve it." The boy's breath came fast, his chest burning. His whole life flashed in that moment: empty bowls, broken shoes, long nights under cold skies. And the letter, glowing like hope in his hands. The man lunged again. This time, the boy's fear broke. With sudden force, he shoved forward, slamming his shoulder into the man's chest. The impact sent both stumbling, shoes splashing in the puddles. The letter nearly slipped from his grip, but he caught it, crumpling it in his fist. The man staggered back, his coat brushing against the wall, his eyes burning with fury. For a heartbeat, the alley was silent. Only the drip of water. Only the sound of the boy's ragged breathing. Then the man straightened. And he smiled again, wider, sharper, more dangerous. "You will regret this," he whispered. "You will regret this," he whispered. The words echoed, clinging to the damp air like smoke. The boy's fists tightened. The paper crumpled further, but he refused to let it go. The man's steps echoed as he moved forward again. Slow. Measured. Predatory. The boy backed away, but the alley narrowed into darkness. The smell of rust and rot thickened, burning his nose. He was trapped. The man stopped just a few feet away. His eyes gleamed in the flicker of the broken lamp. "You think you are the first," he said softly. The boy blinked, confusion cutting through his fear. The man tilted his head, his voice almost a whisper. "There were others, with letters just like yours. Full of promises. Full of hope. And now, where are they?" A shiver ran through the boy's body. The silence of the alley felt heavier, as if the walls themselves were listening. The man's smile widened. They all thought they had found a way out. He leaned closer. "But success has a price. But success has a price." The boy's breath caught. His pulse hammered in his ears. He forced the words out, his voice trembling. "What happened to them?" The man's grin faded into something colder. His eyes narrowed, and for a moment, they looked almost hollow. "They lost everything," he whispered. The boy shook his head, gripping the letter tighter. "No," he said, though his voice cracked. The man stepped closer. "They left behind their homes. Their families. Their very names. In chasing success, they became shadows. Forgotten by the streets that raised them. And swallowed by the very world they thought would save them." The alley grew colder. The dripping water slowed, each drop hanging in the air before it fell. The boy's skin prickled as though the walls leaned closer, pressing in on him. The man's words wrapped around him, heavy and suffocating. "And you," the man said, his voice low and final. The words hung in the air like chains. The boy felt their weight pressing down on him. For a moment, his hands shook, and doubt clawed at his chest. He saw the years of hunger, the nights of cold, the voices that once told him he would never rise. But then, he looked at the letter, crushed and wrinkled in his fist, yet still whole. Still his. He drew in a deep breath. The fear in his chest turned sharp, hard, like fire. He stepped forward, his voice steady now. "No," he said. "I'm not next. I will not be a shadow. This letter is my chance. And I will not let you take it." The man's eyes flickered. For the first time, his smile faltered. The boy pushed past him, his footsteps echoing down the alley. Each step stronger than the last. Behind him, the dripping pipe resumed its steady rhythm, as though the world itself had exhaled. The man remained in the shadows, silent, watching. But the boy did not look back. He walked toward the light at the end of the street. Toward his future. And in that moment, his success had already begun. Our next.